Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joyce from Beau Creations. How are you, everybody, today? I understand we're having a snap of cold weather, and there's been unfortunate weather in Colorado. I heard that they got snow. It's cold in North Carolina, was cold in Florida. So anyway, today I'm just waiting for a moment for everybody to start signing in. I think I'm having internet problems. I hope that I'm broadcasting because my iPad doesn't seem to be telling me that anybody's on. Oh, hi, Ann. Now I see people. Okay, Terry. Hello, Joseph. Hello. Okay, so today I want to talk about stencils. So I got some stencils from Tailored Expression. So today I'm going to talk to you about some Tailored Expression stuff that I just got in and some stencils. So that's what prompted... Hi, Sandy. I wish my iPad would come up so I can see these comments. Cold in the UK, 20 degrees in Colorado, too cold for my blood. Anyway, so I just started carrying Tailored Expressions, and I saw these cloud stencils, and that made me want to play with stencils today. So I just wanted to show you a couple things. So as we go along, I'll show you the new products that we got in. But I wanted to show you these for Father's Day. I love tools. Now, in my family, my tools are pink. My husband doesn't do very much with tools, so I thought, I'll make the tools with pink. So you can see how little these are. There's a little pegboard die. Hi, Pam. How are you? And you can see that, they were just absolutely adorable. So this stamp and die set is for Father's Day. And it's a pegboard and the tools, and I just thought those were so cute. So I just got these in from Tailored Expressions, and I wanted to show you guys those if you're starting to make your Father's Day cards, or I know Mother's Day is going to come up first, but I just absolutely adored those and thought that I would pull them out and show them to you. The other thing that I just got in are these life-changing brushes. Hi, Susan. How are you? And the little cleaning thing. I know a lot of us have these life-changing brushes, but we don't know how to clean them. So this is something, it's silicone. You put it, you clean your brushes, and it's like a little washboard for your brushes. And they have this beautiful stand, and they're in rainbow color. So I thought that was kind of awesome. And I just wanted to show you guys because I do have these bundled, and you'll see me using them today. So anyway, let's talk about stencils. So I'm going to show you a couple of different kinds of stencils today. I know that we have used stencils in the past. Maybe you haven't used stencils. But a stencil is just basically a mask. Anything that you can put down on paper and, use your ink through or your medium through, that can be a stencil. So a stencil, a mask, it's kind of the same thing, only... a mask, you would put the ink all the way around. So in other words, this would be blocked off and this would be all inked. And a stencil, this is inked and the rest of it is blocked off. So that's the difference. So you have stencils that are very thin, like this one, that you can use. It's not really good for heavy mediums like embossing paste and stuff like that, but it is good for ink. Then you have really thick stencils that, you have repeating patterns, you have random patterns. So stencils can be used in different ways. Here's another one that has a mask and a stencil. So I want us not to be afraid of using stencils today. So what I wanted to show you is one of my absolute favorites. This one was one that Susan designed, and it's just used. It can be a mask. You can mask off the clouds. You can stencil in the grass. And so I made this background with the birds in the grass using Susan's grass, because I love the way the grass comes out on here when you do like that and you stencil in the grass. I love this. She did the most beautiful grass, and I just love how it comes out. Hi, Marion. Nice of you to join us. I see Annie. But these clouds were made with the Tailored Expressions, and I am locating them right now. So I wanted to show you real quick how I did it. So these come in different stencils. They also come in wave pattern too, which I thought was kind of neat. So I'm going to show you real quick how I use these. So I'm just going to grab a sheet of paper here. Oh, by the way, I forgot. Our winners from last week are Deanna Durham and Melissa Clay. So if the two of you would private message me with your address, I have a little gift from last week's video to send to you. So if you could just give me your address, I'll go ahead and send that to you. So these clouds are very different. We were playing with these in class the other day, and I thought, well, I wonder what happens if I put the two of them together. So I just wanted to show you guys how easy this is with these brushes, what a beautiful blend you get. So this is just water-based ink, and this is basically masking off the clouds. So you can put them, you know, different ones together. So that's that one. I'm gonna put this one in, and again, I'm just taking some of my light blue ink, and I'm going over it. And then I have a different set of clouds. And then I'm gonna bring in the third one, and I'm gonna maybe flip it over this way. Why not, right? And then I'm gonna put some more ink, just, you know, very light. I love these brushes because I feel like I just really get a nice blend. I'm going to put that right there. Okay. And then you can also flip this over this way and get some clouds that are kind of facing the opposite direction. And then that way you don't have such a straight line. So I thought that was kind of a neat, maybe I'll put one more set of clouds right there, just to kind of bring our sky down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so these are cloud strips, and I like these because it gives me 3 different types of cloud formations that I can use. So, hello Tilda, I just saw you join in. I'm so happy to have all of my ladies on today. So exciting. I'm so glad Cindy's home from the hospital. She was quite sick. And I just want to say I hope, Joan, if you're watching, that you feel better. I know she's been under the weather. So now I'm going to use Susan's grass. So the trick is with this one, and I'll flip it over and show you. If you happen to have this one, if you flip the grass around the wrong way, that's the image that you get. So that's kind of a, I don't know, maybe if it was hanging down, you might want that, but I don't want that. So what you do is you flip it this way. And of course I'm using the green for my green ink because that's how neurotic I am about getting my brushes dirty. So anyway, so I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to add my green in. And then I'm actually going to bring it up a little bit and shift it over. And I'm just going to do a light swipe with my ink just because I want it to look dimensional. And then just like that, I have a sky and grass. I hope you guys can see that. And another reason why I just absolutely, this is one of my favorite go-to stencils, is because I can take these birds that she put in here, and I can use my brown ink and make the birds like I did on this one. So this is, and I'll probably put like a die cut or something here and then make this a masculine birthday card or something. But I just thought how pretty with just nothing but inks and stencils, right? So of course that's one way that you can use them with some inks. All right, let me move these out of the way so that I can show you guys some. I have just been playing all day with my stencils because I just wanted you guys to be able to see all the different things that can be done with these stencils. So this is the next type of stencil. So you have some, this I just cut out. I think it was a Cricut font that I cut out on my Cricut machine, and it says "You and Me." And then this one right here is a repeating pattern, and it's the diamonds. So what I did with this one, and I'm going to show you, is this background back here was created by using the stencil with the clear mark embossing powder, and I put the white embossing powder, and then I did a resist with my red ink. Then I took my stencil again with my embossing ink, and I put "You and Me." So I'm going to show you how to do this real quick, but I wanted to see if I could do it something other than just resist. So I did the same pattern the same way, except I used a shimmery embossing powder with glitter in it, and that's the background that I got. So you can create some beautiful backgrounds. Annie, are you talking about these stencils or the ones with the grass? These are by Tailored Expressions. The other ones are by Elizabeth Craft Designs. Unfortunately, they're not available anymore. But they were designed by Susan, so we'll have to see if maybe she'll come out with something like that again. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to do this. Hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, right? Okay, so the first thing that, before we get to doing this, I wanted to show you, with a lot of these products, if you don't get, with your stencils, when you're using embossing powder or texture paste, if you don't keep your stencils wet, then they're going to be harder than the dickens to clean. So I keep mine in a bucket of a little bit of water next to my desk, and then when I'm done with them, I submerge them in the water, and then that way they're not so hard to clean when I'm trying to get them clean. All right, so with this particular type of stencil, what you want to do, or this particular technique, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab yourself some washi tape, or you're going to want to grab some, I just use the Scotch painter's tape, and I just tape it down to my desk because I like to be able to lift it and make sure that I get a good inking on it. But I want to show you the difference between the stencils that you can use this type of technique with and the ones you can't. Now, when you see something that has a tightly woven design like this, these are good for inks. These are good for some thin paints, but they're not really good for this Versamark technique because it's very hard to get the Versamark down into those holes. So when you do something like this, you're going to want something that's big enough that you can get the ink down in there, and I use a Nouveau blending tool, and I'll show you why in just a sec when I get busy. So I take my my ink and I just go over like this. And it's really, you have to use a lot of strength because you're getting that pad down inside of the little holes there, the stencil. And then I just swipe it over. And then I take my blending tool and I just kind of make sure that that ink is down in there real good. And then with my tape up here, I can pick this up and make sure that I have it. And I hope you guys can see that Versamark. So you can see that, like right on this diamond right here and these down here, that there's very little ink that went through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ink pad, wherever it just went. I found the lid, but what did I do? There it is. Goodness gracious, I'm losing my mind today. So I'm going to take my ink dauber and I'm going to go in, and all those spots that didn't get ink, I'm going to make sure that I smash this down in here. That's why I like these particular daubers, because it gives me a firm tool to press on. If you were trying to do this with regular sponge daubers, I think you would probably have a hard time, being able to hold on to them and do this technique. So I'm going to lift this up again, and it's looking much better. Okay. So then I'm just going to submerge this in the water. And then I'm going to take my embossing powder and a sheet of paper. My sheet of paper, where did it go? Here it is. And I'm not going to bore you with the heat tool because I know that you guys all know how to heat emboss, but I just wanted to show you that it really does show up very well. And it's best if you use a detailed embossing powder, because ones that are chunky like this are really not going to pick up a lot of the detail. But if you use a detailed embossing powder, there you go. And now when we heat emboss this, we will have a background like I showed you a moment ago. And that makes for a very, very pretty background that you can use. Let me put this back. Any questions so far? Hi, Dorothy. Hi, Christian. So glad you can join us today. Okay, so let's put this away. And so fast forward, heat tool, you get this technique. So you could die cut this, you could punch it, all kinds of things you could do with this background now. We're going to use this again in a moment. Brush this off here. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is make this. So I had this little stencil right here. Let me see if I can put it over so you guys can see. And I believe it was a Heidi Swap stencil from a while ago. I don't even know if it's still available anymore. But I think it's meant to do to make like a Polaroid card, you know, where you do the stencil and then it has an outline. So I kind of followed that that theme when I did this, and this was kind of done on accident because I was using this 6x6 designer stencil from Tailored Expressions. Hi Estelle, thank you for watching today. And I decided that I was going to do something, you know, Valentine's theme. And so I said, well, let me see what I can do. I mean, ink is boring. So let me get out some of my stuff that I already have, because I'm all about using the stuff that I have and not buying new stuff. Sometimes we have to, but so I had these Nouveau glimmer pastes in pink and red. And I thought, you know what? I bet you that I could make the cutest little card with the heart stencil, my Nouveau pastes, and my craft knife. And that's what I came up with. This is an ombre effect. If you notice, these are pink with a little bit of red, and these are all red with just a little bit of pink. And I'm going to show you how to do this here in one moment. The tools that I'm going to need are my stencil, of course. I use one of these. We do carry these. They come in a 3-pack, and they're just basically big stencil scrapers. And I like it because it covers a lot of space at once. I'm going to need my Nouveau craft spatula. And I'll get back to this in just a moment. I'll tell you how I did that. So let me grab my paper. And of course, again, I'm going to bring my paper in. And I'm going to tape my stencil down. I want to make sure that I have all of the hearts centered so that it's not crooked. You know, like the hearts are not crooked on the paper, because you only get one shot at this. I'm going to grab my tape. I'm going to tape it down because it gives me like a little hinge, but it also allows my stencil to be taped down. And then I'm going to grab my Nouveau pastes. So what this is a very thick, quick drying glitter paste that I take out with my, I know it's a Cricut spatula, or brother, but it works for glimmer pastes for me. And I'm going to take some of the red paste, just like this, and I'm going to scrape it across the top like this. Okay, I'm not trying to put it into the stencil. I'm just trying to get it on there so that I can add the pink as well. And you can do this at the same time. So I'm just going across this one like that. This is about where I want to start the pink, because there's not as many hearts down here as there is up here. And I can just see that I'm out of frame just a little bit. So let me adjust the camera just a smidge, so I hope you guys can see that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Nouveau spatula, and the reason I like these is because they're bendy, so I can really get into the stencil with these spatulas. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape and put some of these up here so that all my hearts are red in this area. This tool is the most amazing tool for this particular type of medium and Nouveau mousses and things. I love these, and I'm just going to continue. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scraper and I'm going to scrape off this glimmer paste, because I don't want to waste it. I'm going to use it here in a minute. And then I'm going to set this down because I'm going to use this. And I'm going to take my pink and I'm going to start moving my pink into my red. See, just like this. And now some of my pink is now red, and my red has got a little bit of pink. We don't want to miss anybody here. And I'm going to start dragging that pink down to fill up all these little hearts. And yes, there may be a little bit of red in it, but it's okay, because this is supposed to be an ombre effect. And I'm going to make sure that all of my hearts are covered. And then I'm just going to take my scraper and I'm going to wipe off all this excess, because if you look, there's a lot on here. There's a lot of excess, and we don't want to waste. Hi, Tammy. So nice of you to join us today. You're going to enjoy this. This is mixed media, so it's right up your alley, huh? So we're doing some stencils. And So I'm just taking that extra and I'm putting it right on my spatula thing here. And then I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to reveal my paper. Voila! I think it's just beautiful. And now we have ombre hearts. Some of them are red, some of them are pink, and some of them have the red and pink. So I think that's kind of cool. So we're going to set this aside. It doesn't take long to dry, but you do have to dry it. And then what I'm going to do is bring in another sheet of paper because we have all of this excess glitter paste here. So I just grabbed the nearest stencil that was available, which happened to be this one. And so I thought, well, let me put this down, and then I can take my big knife here and I can just put this on, and I can come in and fill all of these gaps with this excess glimmer paste, and then that way none is wasted. And so I went in and I just filled all of these little holes here, making sure that I didn't waste anything. And I'm being careful not to push down too much because I don't want the paste to go under my stencil. And all of that would have been wasted that we took off is now going to be turned into another piece that we can use. Hi Shar, how are you? And I'm going to take this and put this in my water bucket over here to make sure that you know, I don't get that stuff dried on there, because trust me, if you let it dry on your stencils, oh my goodness, you will have the hardest time getting it off of it. You have to scrape it off. So this is our piece. We're going to set this aside and let it dry as well. Tammy is asking, who is the manufacturer of the bendy tools? Tammy, they are Tonic, and we do sell them here in the shop. So private message me and let me know if you'd like some. I can take care of that for you. So I'm going to put this back on. So now we did two pieces, with one with the leftovers from the heart card part that we did, this one. And then we have the leftovers on this piece. So we got our use out of it. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this card. These pieces right here are from Tailored Expressions, and they're called sentiment strips. If you guys have not discovered the sentiment strips and you make cards, they will change your life. So let me show you what these are. Okay, so this happens to be what they call the mini ones. This is the mini sentiment strips. And what they are is a big stamp. Let me show you. It's a stamp. And they have these little knots on it because they want you to stamp them. And it has sayings on it. This particular one is all Valentine's. They have one that's all Christmas, one that's friendship, one that's birthday. And you're going to take your, they sell a die, and I just stamp them with Versamark on black and white paper. And what's really cool about it is once you put the die over it, like this, and you match up the little squares, okay, you can take it and run it through your die cut machine, and what you end up with is a handful of these little strips that you can put on cards. And so I run them through with this particular ones I did with red ink and clear embossing powder over top, and these I did with Versamark and white embossing powder. And then I just heat set it, and then I ran it through my die cut machine, and you've got a handful of these little sentiment strips that you can put on any project like that. And that's all I needed for that card. So these are really cool to have around. And like I said, they do have a plethora of different kinds. They have ones that's birthday. They have one that's Christmas. And these are the big ones. They have ones with a lot more. But we do have the little ones too. So I thought that was kind of a neat, and I know I've showed these before. But the little ones, the mini ones, they also have a different shape die. So if you look at this one, you'll notice that there's, I think they call it abstract edges. So this one has like square, and then some of them are kind of, you know, at an angle. But they all work the same way. They cut out those little sentiment strips, and I think that's just the neatest little thing. Hi, Diane. So I'm going to put that aside and show you the next card. So if you notice, I kind of took a Valentine's theme today because, you know, it's coming up this week. So if you don't have somebody to send Valentine's to, then you can just turn it into a birthday, I guess. But this is the next one that I made. Now, I really liked, now this doesn't have anything to do with stencils per se, but I just really liked this lace right here. And what I did is, this is also, I told you we were going to talk about tailored expressions a little bit today. And so this is a stamp that I just stamped in Versamark on a piece of white paper. I took some pink detailed embossing powder. Now, there's a difference between regular embossing powder and detailed. Detailed means that it's ground finer, and all of these little details that you're going to get in here are going to come out better if you use detailed embossing powder. There is a difference. So make sure that when you're looking for embossing powder, that if you're going to do something with intricate designs, that you use detailed, because it will make a difference in the outcome of your piece. So what I did was I just stamped this with the Versamark. This happens to be the edge that cuts it out. So it comes with a sentiment that says, "You're in my prayers, with love on your anniversary, happy Valentine's Day, thinking of you, and much love on your birthday." It's called Flip the Lace. And then I just took my red brush with some red ink and I went over the pink embossing powder and then wiped it off, and that's how I got that. And of course, those are the tonic hearts. So I hope you guys like that. I just thought that was a really neat Valentine's card. Now, I'm going to show you the neatest one that I think I made all day long. This is the one that I just went gaga over. And it actually has two different techniques. So this is the card that I ultimately turned it into. But what I want to show you, and I'm not sure if you guys can see, let me look in the camera here. Yeah, you can see. So you see the bubbles are made with clear embossing powder. Can y'all see that? So I'm going to show you how I achieved that. All right. Let me show you. So first thing we're going to do is use our distress inks. Now, there is one thing I need to tell you. I never ever use my distress oxides with my life-changing brushes. Now, there's a reason for that. There's a substance in here that's kind of oily, and if you put it on your brushes, it's really difficult to clean off, and it kind of stays in there and may interfere with some of the other inks that you use. So I'm just going to use, sponge tools. And this sentiment that's also, it's a bubble, not sentiment, stencil that's from Tailored Expressions. I just loved the way these bubbles look like they're going up to the surface. This one is really, really nice. I kind of liked it. And so let me show you how I achieved this. This is actually like a two-step kind of thing with this stencil. Let me make sure I'm in frame with this. Okay, yes. So I'm going to tape it down to my surface. And I'm going to take my distress ink and I'm going to flip this up for the time being, because I don't want to use it just yet. Because right now I want to lay the color down on my cardstock. So I put a little micro Velcro dot on the bottom of my Distress Oxide, and it keeps my pad on there so that I never have to, find another one whenever I'm looking for it. So I'm just going to adhere my pad on there. And then I guess I could go like straight across on this one, which I think I might do. So I'm just going to go straight across on this one. It's probably going to look a little bit different than the other one, but that's okay. We want them to all be different. And I want it to kind of have a rough edge because I'm going to blend it in with the next color. So let me take that off. So that was Faded Jeans for the Distress Oxide. This one's Cracked Pistachio. And I always put this green color in the middle because I think it just breaks up the two blues really, really well. Okay, so I'm going to add this on, and I'm not really, trying very hard to worry about where I'm putting it, because I know it's going to be all blended in eventually, and I'm just going for color on there anyhow. So I just make sure I pay attention to my edges. And then let's put this aside. And then I'm going to take my lighter blue, which is the Broken China. blend that in. I think these three colors make a good ocean background anyway. I just love these three colors together. Then I'm just going to blend them all in, and that's my ocean. Okay? Now, this next step is very important. So you don't want to heat set it just yet. Okay? Most people usually heat set it, but right now what we're going to do is put our tape on it, and we're going to bring it down. And what I'm going to do is actually bring in a baby wipe. And I want to make sure that my baby wipe is a little bit wet. So if it's not, you're going to want to just spray a little bit of spray on it. Because what you're going to want to do is pick up the color from your stencil, and that's going to make the bubbles. So you're going to go over your stencil with your baby wipe, and you're actually going to oxidize the color through the stencil, so that when you pick up the stencil, all of these little bubbles are going to be lighter than the background. You just got to be careful, because sometimes you can wear a hole, you know, because you are rubbing paper. So just be gentle. And then just like that, this, you can start to see where it's oxidizing. Now I am going to heat set this just for one quick second, so I apologize for the noise, because you're going to watch it like really come to life. Hope you guys can see those bubbles starting to really show up. There we go. Just want to dry it a little bit, just so that I can work with my next step. Okay. So now the next step is I'm going to bring in some baby powder. And if you have an embossing buddy or a little EK Success, you know, embossing tool, you can certainly do that. But I just grab baby powder and a makeup brush, and that's all I need to keep my embossing powder from sticking. So I'm just going to go over this with my baby powder, because we did use water on this, so we don't want our embossing powder to stick in places that we don't want it to stick. We want it to stick only where we put the clear ink. So what I'm actually going to do is highlight these bubbles by covering over them with clear embossing ink. So I told you this was going to be a two-step process. Well, this is the second step. So I'm going to put my piece of tape on here, and I'm going to grab my little sponge dauber and my clear ink. I'm using the Nouveau clear ink, but you certainly could use Versamark. And I'm actually going to go and mash this ink into the bubbles. And then the magic is going to happen. So give me just a second and I'll show you. So I'm mashing it, not rubbing it, because I want to make sure that it really gets down inside those bubbles. Because what we're doing is we're actually highlighting the white bubbles that we just oxidized with our baby wipe. So we want to make sure that that clear ink gets down in there really, really well. Okay, so let me see. I think we have pretty good coverage, because I can see the bubbles coming up. Okay, so I think we're good to go. But because we put the tape on it, we certainly can pick up the stencil and see, and oh yes, we have lovely coverage. All right, so I'm going to take my stencil and submerge it in my water over here so that it doesn't get all dirty and that it stays kind of clean. And then I'm going to put this away. And I don't know how you guys do it, but I put my embossing powder, my clear embossing powder, in a big container like this, because I find it easier to handle, especially if I'm doing large pieces like this. And I just have a little tiny spoon, and then I just put my clear embossing powder, and then I'm going to flip it around, do the other side, and you notice it's not sticking anywhere because we used the baby powder, and it's only sticking where we wanted it. So I'm going to set this aside, And I am going to heat set it. And once I heat set it, you will see, you will see these bubbles really start to look very dimensional. Can you see that? So first we put our ink on. Let me just do this. Trying to make you guys not have to listen to the heat tool, but in order to get the effect, I want to... Okay. And you can see those bubbles just really start to light up in here with the clear embossing powder right over top of where we just oxidized. Just love this. I happened to be on the phone with Cindy and she was like, wouldn't that be nice if we could make those bubbles kind of shiny? And of course you could go in with like the clear drops and do that, or some glaze, or, oh, hi Kathy, I didn't see you sign on. Hello Kathy. So anyway, so that's how I ended up with this background. And of course you could do this with any stencil. It doesn't have to be an ocean theme, but I just thought, don't those bubbles look realistic with that embossing powder over it and the distress ink in the background? I just think that that is so cute. So I just took a stamp from Birch Press and I stamped all of my sea creatures, and then I made a card out of it. It says, the greatest gift in life is friendship. So that is how that is done. Let me bring in our pieces that we made earlier so that we can see how they're drying. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to cut it down and make it look like the stencil, like a Polaroid picture. And I think they might be dry. Yes, these are dry. So see how quickly that dries? So we did that. And that's going to create, these are just 2 punches that I got from Stampin' Up. So they're really, you know, just very nice to accent. So that was our piece that we made for that one. And then our other piece that we created looks like this. So these are all beautiful backgrounds that you can use just using your stencils. And I don't know if you have a lot of them, but I certainly do. I have a box full. So this is what you can create with your stencils. I hope you guys have fun dragging out your stuff, and hope that you guys are going to have a great day. I did want to also tell you that if you know anybody that's interested, I do now have a YouTube channel where all of these videos can be uploaded to. It's Beau Creations, also on YouTube. So yay for that. And Deanna Durham and Melissa Clay, please make sure you send me your address for your goodies from last class. And with the brushes, I wanted to tell you guys, if you're interested in these brushes, you can get the stand and the brushes. I have them bundled for 10% off for $59.40. So if you're interested in the rotating stand and the brushes, let me know. I hope you guys have a blessed day. I hope you have fun with your stencils, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye!